Gulfstream Search is an executive search firm that works with fast-growing, innovative food and beverage companies throughout the U.S. to help them identify and capture high-impact strategic talent for their teams. My name is Bob Pudlock, and I'm your host for today's episode of our Be Iconic podcast and video series. In our Be Iconic series, we profile talented and influential people in our network that have unique skill sets, perspective, and experience to share with you, the listener. So what brings us together today? Well, today it's all about food safety. Rick Biros, president, publisher, and founder of Innovative Publishing Company, is going to join me over the next couple episodes here to discuss a number of things, but mostly to dive in deep to discuss the upcoming Food Safety Consortium, October 1st through 3rd in Chicago, that Rick and his company are hosting. Innovative Publishing's digital publications include Food Safety Tech, MedTech Intelligence, and the Cannabis Industry Journal. But Rick's depth of involvement and influence goes even deeper than just digital publications. Rick's team hosts conferences, expositions, and training and educational seminars that are really, really rich in value and in content and what I call take back to the shop insight and application. Rick's been deep in the food safety space for over 25 years. And I'm going to take a little bit of a detour with Rick today to discuss his own personal journey. That's really what our Be Iconic series is about in a way. What do I mean by that? Well, the publication, event management, and educational content space and industry has changed dramatically over the last decade or so. At the same time, so has food safety. So here's Rick, sitting right smack dab on top of an industry and a business model, publishing, event management, and what have you, in a business model that's been completely disrupted. And he and his team are tasked with staying not only a couple steps ahead of, other companies within the space, his competition, but also making sure that on a day in, day out basis, they're delivering content in their publications and at their events that compel, specifically within food safety, that compel food safety leaders and food and beverage executives to make a decision to come to their shows and pony up a check to send the team to an event. And that's not an easy task, but you're going to hear directly from Rick what he has in store for everyone in October. And I think you'll agree with me that it's going to be a can't miss event for food safety professionals and anyone that has a vested interest within food safety. So we're going to talk about Rick, about his own personal journey and Innovative Publishing's evolution into what it is today and what it will be moving forward. And as I mentioned, we're going to get real specific about the upcoming Food Safety Consortium, why it makes business sense to attend, why it makes personal sense to attend, and we'll talk about the really, really exciting group of food safety subject matter experts that he and his team have put together for the attendees. We're going to include links and contact info to learn more about Food Safety Tech, the Food Safety Consortium, the Cannabis Industry Journal, as well as the Cannabis Quality Conference and Expo that, and this is not a coincidence, which Rick will explain, will also be run concurrently with the Food Safety Consortium event in Chicago. So with that, let's get to Rick and I discussing the upcoming Food Safety Consortium in Chicago. Take care, everyone, and as always, be iconic. Welcome back to Gulfstream Search's Be Iconic series. My name is Bob Pudlock, and I'm your host for today's episode of our Be Iconic podcast and video series. In our Be Iconic series, we profile talented and influential people in our network that have unique skill sets, perspective, and experience to share with you, the listener. I'm joined by Rick Biros, president and founder and publisher of Innovative Publishing Company. And Rick is joining me today, and as he has over the last couple episodes, we are going to really dive in deep and discuss the upcoming Food Safety Consortium, October 1st through 3rd in Chicago. And in this episode with Rick, we're going to get into the networking, business, and collaboration opportunities that will present themselves at the Food Safety Consortium. And to me, what's most compelling about this is how much thought and effort has been put into, first off, Rick looks at this as, and again, I want to put words in your mouth, but you really put the audience in mind first. And you look at the subject matter, you look at what's going on within the space, you speak with your board of advisors, and out comes this beautiful agenda. But it's not just the agenda, it's what happens on the floor. And a lot of thought gets put into the course of the couple-day experience. And I want to take this opportunity for Rick, not only Rick, but his team as well, how you've put together an environment where everybody will get a huge value, not only at the event, but there will be huge takeaways that people can take away and use from a career development standpoint or for their business or to further their research within the areas of food safety and what have you. So Rick, take it away. Tell me what your thought process was here as it relates to building the experience and setting the experience, and what opportunities you're trying to position attendees to have to take advantage of at the Food Safety Consortium.
Great. Well, thanks again for this opportunity. We've seen, we meaning everyone in industry, has seen a significant increase in the amount of digital events like webinars. Organizations, publishers, vendors, everyone's doing a lot of webinars out there, and I think they have a great deal of value in terms of education. There's a big upside to that is that there's no travel. They're generally in small increments in terms of time. We've done them. We get great turnout to our programs and our webinars. But the thing that's missing is that human element, the shaking of someone's hand, the ability to look them in the eye. And I think, we live in such a digital age, and, listen, I publish digital publications, I'm part of that. And,
right.
We do webinars as well, so I'm part of that. But it's important to keep the human side of things in your career. And what I mean by that is to get out to these events, I think is very important for someone to do and try and get to do on an annual basis. Because as great as the program is, as great as the speakers are, the ability to walk up to Frank Yanis from FDA and ask him a specific question one-on-one, whether it be in the town hall format or one-on-one during a break, I think is really, really invaluable. The ability to go up to Rob Munson from Sabra and talk about, hey, really, tell me about this food safety culture on a 483. Did that really happen? I can't believe that. That ability to do that, I think, is tremendous. I've heard from somebody and said, this is a great program, but I actually got more out of it by able to have a conversation with somebody over a beer in the exhibit hall.
Absolutely.
That it was just one-on-one. Or so it's sometimes peer-to-peer networking where they can have a conversation with people. We designed the program to have these networking opportunities. We have a sit-down plated lunch. It's not a buffet where, you don't know who, this is a plated lunch where there's an opportunity to sit with 10, 12 other people in a round table and discuss the program. We actually strategically put staff, we spread them out over in the luncheon and try and spark up conversation. I do that. I'll sit down at a table, I introduce myself. By that point, everyone knows me. But just, what do you think? What did you find interesting? And we get conversations going that way. I think that's really, really helpful. And I think that adds a significant component to an already good program. And that's that intangible. And that's something that I think, people need to sell their boss on and why that's important. And hopefully come back with those takeaways that they get from that.
Sure. What about tell me a little bit about and tell the audience a little bit about the actual logistics and the actual physical setup and how it's been constructed from a booth standpoint, how you've align the schedules to align for maximum networking opportunities, as well as opportunities for, say, a vendor, maybe food safety sensors or any
Sure.
sort of equipment or software or anything like that sort of thing.
Right. Sure. A couple years ago, actually it was literally 2 years ago, the consortium was set up so that there was all the meeting rooms were right next to each other, and everyone spilled out into a hallway, and we had tabletop exhibits outside of in the hallway, and we outgrew the space. But the beauty of the space was it was kind of like a fishbowl where we jammed 500 people together, and it just forced conversations between peer-to-peer to peer-to-vendor speakers, because it was such a small space. But we were really cramped and we outgrew it. So last year we moved in the same building, but we moved downstairs to a convention hall where we have the exhibits in. But we're trying not to lose that intimacy that we had with the close proximity of the exhibitors to the meeting rooms. And so what we've done is we have 3 meeting rooms that are literally 50 feet, not even yards, away from where the entrance to the exhibit hall is. And we actually closed down the exhibit hall during the sessions. So the exhibit hall is closed. That forces everyone into, if it's a plenary presentation, it forces everyone into one room. When we're in the breakouts, it forces everyone into the 3 rooms. And it allows for the exhibitors, though, to be able to go to the presentations knowing that they're not leaving their booth, let's say,
right,
unmanned. That's always a fear. And we actually didn't do that last year, and we got feedback that, we didn't know if we could leave our booth or not, and we would have liked to attend the session. The purpose, so we made that change for this year, and the purpose is so that it allows the exhibitors to not only go to those presentations, but it also allows for further networking between vendors and solution providers and industry people. And if a vendor sees someone ask a question and that might be in their wheelhouse of what they're offering in terms of a solution, whether that be a service or technology, it's a great opportunity to then have a conversation during the coffee break. So what we've designed where the physical exhibits are and then where the meeting rooms are very close. They're literally 50 feet away from each other. The cannabis track is around the corner, a little bit longer of a walk, but it's on the same floor. Again, the exhibits will be closed so that people could attend that, as well as the same concept of cross-pollination that we've talked about in the past.
That's great. Any other things associated with the networking and the collaboration opportunities, either lessons learned that you've applied to this upcoming consortium or anything else?
Something we've discussed before, but I'd kind of reiterate on it is to me, it's really the sum of the parts that makes up the value on why someone should attend. It's a great program. It's if you happen to be interested in learning about cannabis from either a career development standpoint or for your company's looking to expand into that market. I think, that's important. The GFI scheme, FSC 22000, this is their only information day, and they've introduced new updates to their scheme. So it's a great way to be able to attend their meeting, which doesn't cost anything additional. And if you're interested in food defense, then attend the Food Defense Consortium's meeting. You're interested in learning more about sanitation, that pre-conference workshop. is good. We have, lastly, some other ongoing additions to the program. I've been working with Trish Wester, who runs a food safety auditing association as well as a consulting firm. And she's been connecting us with FDA on an ongoing and evolving new program called the Third Party Certification Program. And this is going to have some significant impact on the industry, but it's really just being evolved now. And the idea is of what third parties can audit a food company and then be in compliant with FSMA. And I think this is going to have a huge, huge impact on the industry in a way that will address sort of the resources or the limited resources that FDA has on FSMA implementation and more, and enforcement.
Sure.
And it's also going to be, the companies are looking at, okay, well, if I can have a third party certification, can that third party also certify us for GFSI? So if they can do that, the theory is that, one auditor could go in and certify them for both FSMA as well as a potential GFSI scheme. So this is still evolving, but we had Dory DeLeon, who is the program coordinator of the Accredited Third Party Certification Program at FDA, and Clint Priestley from FDA as well, speaking at our last Food Safety Supply Chain Conference last month, and they have made a commitment to come out to the consortium just recently. It's been barely posted to the agenda, but my point is this. The program continues to evolve, and what we have on there now, it's a sort of a working document. It's something that I continually try to improve upon, even as we get closer to the program,
Sure.
to those run dates. So we're excited about that new addition, and excited about the potential of what we can offer the industry, and hopefully, the industry will recognize that value and join us in Schaumburg.
Well, that's great. And thanks, Rick, for that piece of it. That wraps up this series where we've had Rick Biros here telling us all about his business, his platforms, and really specifically, really going in depth here with the Food Safety Consortium upcoming in Chicago. I want to turn it over to Rick now and really summarize, and we'll do this behind the scenes and add links and what have you, and where to go and what to do. But I want to turn it over to Rick now, just to give us his parting words and what he wants to leave everyone with here in terms of what he does and how he wants to help you as a food safety professional with his business.
Right. Well, thank you, Bob, and thanks very much for this opportunity and this podcast series. It's I greatly appreciate it, and I hope it's been of some value to your listeners. Kind of what I would want to say in parting is, the food safety professional has really evolved as a career in the last 25 years. For a number of years, it was a position that didn't get a lot of respect. I heard from Jorge Hernandez, who said to me, "What's the difference between a chief food safety officer and a chief marketing officer?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He goes, "About $100,000 a year." And, and we're seeing slowly the evolution of the food safety component of a company getting more and more and more respect. But it's still an ongoing battle. And what I hope is that your readers can benefit from the work that we're both doing. You with your executive search firm, us with our publishing and events business. Within the publishing firm, I'd encourage everyone to continue to go to foodsafetytech.com and subscribe to the newsletter. If nothing else, if you get nothing else out of this podcast, you'll get continued free information from there. If you're interested in cannabis, then go to cannabisindustryjournal.com and subscribe to that newsletter. So that doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost your company anything. But I would encourage you to be proactive and sell your boss on why you need to come to the consortium, because it will not just help you develop professionally, it will help your company in the protection of your consumers, the protection of your company's bottom line. You will get information that is practical, that you can bring back to your company the next week and start implementing. It's that simple. There is information there that you will be able to, it's not like pie in the sky research, which is nice to know. It's either best practices or technology that you can start using immediately. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. It's not an investment of just yourself, but it's the company's investment in itself, in its bottom line, in its employees, and its customers. And like I said, on the Food Safety Consortium website, there is a template of a letter that's a justification letter. And it kind of helps you. What you do is you copy and paste it, put it into Word or whatever word processing program you have, and then start filling it in. And it will help you organize your thoughts so that will then be something that you can use to sell it to your boss on why you think you need to be there and why it's important for the company and how much it's going to cost. So, my parting words are, invest in yourself and get your company to invest into you. And I want to thank everyone for this opportunity to share with you, what I've been doing, how this has evolved, and hopefully we'll see you in Schaumburg and see you for many years to come. But again, I encourage you to believe in yourself and get your company to invest into you.
Well, I absolutely appreciate it, Rick, and this has been a blast. And we will absolutely include all the information that you already shared here. We'll give all the links below as well so people can connect. And that is an awesome wrap up. And it's exactly a big reason why I had you on as part of the Be Iconic series. That's what people ask me that all the time. Companies talk about and brands talk about being iconic, but as an executive recruiter and somebody that helps to shepherd people through their careers, I can't encourage people more to take ownership over their career and to not only help companies be iconic and brands be iconic, but to make themselves that way. And the Food Safety Consortium is an awesome opportunity. And as much as, and I can't encourage people enough to, as a professional who may not have this paid for by someone else, obviously we want that to happen, and that is an absolute best practice, but invest in yourself too as well. And Rick's made it really, really super easy to do that from a cost standpoint, and invest in yourself. And I can tell you this from personal experience, that you invest in yourself in a manner like this, if it comes to that, it will come back to you 10, 20 times fold over the course of many years. So great stuff, Rick. Thank you again. And again, anybody, if you've got any questions, certainly can reach out to us. But looking forward to seeing everybody in Schaumburg in October. Take care.
Thank you, Bob.
Absolutely.